Splashing into water is so much fun to do. My idea is to build a bike with like a surfboard or some skis attached to it, and we can zoom down the embankment and then skip across the surface of the lake until we sink. So let's get building. The thing is, it has to be long enough. You know, a surfboard or a paddleboard, you know, is 10 feet long, so we need some distance in here. I think how we're going to do this is whoever's riding it is going to be hunched way over. If I can get the center of gravity shifted way back, then the skis can be mostly behind the front wheel. 5 or 6 square feet should give us enough planing surface. I mean, even if we only plane 10-12 feet, it's still going to be fun. Alright, so here's our donor bike. It's a small bike, which is good because, you know, the bigger you make stuff, the heavier it is. We want to skip like a stone. Also, this area is hollow, so I can squirt expanding foam into there, and that'll help keep the bike on the surface for when we do sink. Also, it's 100 degrees today, so it's a perfect day to work outside and do some welding. Here's the second donor bike. My plan is to graft this one in right about there. So let's take this one apart. Last night I got the two parts fused together, and it's looking pretty cool. Now it's time to put the wheels back on and give it a quick test ride before I move to the next step. Well, there she is so far. It's time to do a little bit of a test ride. How's that? That's pretty good. The thing is, it's going to be a downhill racer, but you have to be able to get back uphill again. So let's see if I can. It's fun going downhill, and it's good for you going up. There we go. This is a freaky bike. Before I build the skimboard for it, I want to know how much each wheel weighs so that I can calculate the center of gravity here. So this one is 60 pounds. Golly, get over here. This one, 148. Alright, so we have a 60 in the front, 148 in the rear. That might as well be 150. 60, 450. Oh, I also need to know how far apart the wheels are. Let's measure that. Alright, the wheels are 42 inches apart, which is 3.5 feet. 6, 12, 30, 2.5. Okay, so 2.5 over 3.5, 25 goes into 35, 1.4. So 1.4 feet, 0.4 times 12 is 48. So it's 1 foot 5 inches from the rear wheel to the center of gravity. So the reason I need to know that it's 1 foot 5 to there is this needs to be the center of my skimboard. Let me check and see how far forward that goes. Here, let's just do this. 1 foot 5 is 17 inches. So I want to go to 3 feet 5 inches. 3 feet 5 inches is right there. That's pretty good. 2 feet the other direction is going to be about there, just behind it. How about a little visualization? I'm going to have to do a little bit of a notch here, and of course a notch in the back. But that's looking pretty good so far. There's this really nice curve that has developed, and I want to preserve that. So I'm going to cut a slice through the base plate here, and then when I pull it up and glue it to here, I'll keep that I'll keep this compound curve. Alright, so this didn't work. Totally recoverable, but now I won't have quite the product that I wanted. Alright, so I got it all glued together. I'm really tempted to lay in a strip of fabric and glue, reinforce this corner. I mean, glue's wet. I think I'll do that. The glue is most likely still drying. Now, I think I'll glue in a couple of skeggy-like things. I want this to be a little stiffer. It could be as simple as just cutting this yardstick in half and gluing it down. I think I'm going to do that. I have extra, and I can tell exactly where half is. Alright, that's looking pretty well cured. So I'm going to start loosening these up. So the glue's still wet under there. So I'm going to put that back together again. Okay, it's time to just leave it alone and let everything dry. I've got the clamps in place, the front end is curing, I've got these guys in place, and that glue is curing. So let's move on to something else. I've cut a notch for the back wheel. I have to cut a notch for the front wheel.
Looks like a child's toy sled.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Alright, I think I've got all of the geometry is figured out, which of course is, you know, the most fun reason to do any of this kind of stuff. What we have is a little bit of clearance for the rear wheel and a little bit of clearance for the front wheel. Plenty of turn radius, so that's pretty great. And there's room to pedal. I've got the front wheel touch down back there. The rear wheel is not touching, but just eyeballing, it looks like those should stay above the ground. And the really amazing thing that's completely accidental is this part is matching up exactly to where it'll be easy to attach a plate. So I can just screw right in. This is ridiculous, but I've really been looking forward to it. I have no idea how much to put in. I'll just put in a lot. There's the piece I cut out for the back wheel. There's the first trimming adjustment. I have to do one more trimming adjustment. It's always easier to remove material than to add material, so I don't mind this much. The only thing is it's moving my center of gravity more and more forward, which, yeah, for a planing vehicle you want your center of gravity towards the bow, but I'm hoping I haven't moved too far forward so that we're just going to nosedive into the water. So during my test ride yesterday, I learned exactly where it wants to scrape against the ground. So I've glued in a couple of skid plates. Well, there she is, the mud skipper. Let's take her down to the river. Let's go make some history. Oh my golly. I think a lighter person might be able to get this to work.
Well, if they went fast enough.
It might actually be possible.
You think? Bouncy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah! I think I caught about 3 feet of air on that.
Okay.